One the only Paul friends welcoming you to Starfleet Universe on Call. And tonight we have the lovely guest four. We have Russ and we have Dave. They're all in the chat room. Barry's not with us this evening, which is fine. Obviously, it's always enjoyable to have him around. Yeah. Guess four, just to let you, yeah, most of the chat is over here. There's, as you know, it's not hardly anyone over there. When it comes to the chat, hopefully that will change. Nice to see you, Matt. Always good to have you. When it comes to this evening, we're actually going to talk about a subject which actually is quite kind of interesting. The big thing about this evening's topic, which is playing games in the browser. Now, one of the reasons why I came up with this lovely topic, big surprise, I've been fortunate in these years to be able to come up with these inspirations during the week on things that have happened in my life that inspire me to talk about this topic. And this week, the inspiration comes from a guy named Al. Yes, Al. He's actually done something kind of neat. Oh, Lord. Okay. He's actually created he's added a tool to help him and his friends run Federation and Empire in a browser. And I thought that was quite cool. And I figured I'd talk about a little bit here and discuss other ideas on that. And obviously the drawbacks and so forth. We've got some, and I figured that'd be a really good topic for this evening. Whoa. So this evening, we'll start with Alan. Al, the reason why I laugh is because Al is like me. Al is a back-end developer. That means UI. What's a UI? Okay, it's things you get things done. I'm mainly a back-end person too. Obviously, I've done a little bit of front-end work with it, SFU online, and working on that. Now, as I've pointed out, I don't know how many times I've pointed this out, but I'll point out again. The only reason the SFU online is as good as it currently is I had a great tutor, a great person who helped me to come not with a vision, but definitely give me a better understanding about what it is when it comes to products and GUIs and user interaction and things like that. Am I a great? No. Au contraire, Montreal. I will have to agree that I am so. I get things done. I think I definitely feel like I'm better than I was when I first started this journey. And from before, and that person actually was Paul Scott. He helped me through back in SFU Online back in the 2X days when I first moved over to Java from having an app which was pretty basic, written in Visual Basic, and I didn't write it in Visual Basic. The person named Greg Dykehouse wrote it in Visual Basic, and I took a project that I found online and I implemented and expanded on it and helped it to grow and helped it have functionality that's required to do what I needed to do, including communications and sending things back and forth and all kinds of things that in the previous version, was done in a different way. So they helped me a great deal. Now, to say Al got is rough is putting it lightly. It is a good framework. It's a good start. His map looks lovely. I love the functionality. He has taken care of the provinces and the Federation Empire. He's taken care of the moving of the ships. There comes to UX, there are some things to be desired because of things like something simple. Basically, all ships it's just a stack of ships. And I'm sure that people are going to want, for Federation Empire, they're actually going to want the fleet counters. That's something he'll hopefully be working on. I already gave him some ideas of things to work on. And I think I told him I would come back and I'd actually talk to him. I give him some ideas about user interaction, user interface, about what he could do to improve things. There are multiple things. Well, the simplest thing I told him was obviously click and drag needs to be smooth because currently he's got it working kind of what I told him was like Windows 2. It's actually worse than Windows 2. Windows 2, basically what you could do is when you clicked and dragged a window, the window didn't actually move. That's for you youngsters out there. It's like, huh? Yes, this was back in the day when it actually took a lot of CPU, a lot of resources to actually move something graphically. You used the CPU. You did not use the actual GPU. There was GPUs. There weren't the GPUs. There were none. We have graphics cards. We didn't really have GPUs like we have today, where you can offload a lot of what's happening onto the GPUs and they can work. So what happens is when you click and drag his map, it doesn't even move. You click and drag the map, but as soon as you let go, then it redraws. And one thing I talked to him about is that I think I like to have him research, do a quick check when it comes to optimization on whether, since the background map, including the bases, can be drawn quickly. They can be drawn. If I figured that can be something that they can create an image on the server and then have it stored in the browser, bring it brought forward in the browser, because normally it's assuming you don't zoom in and zoom out on the map itself. You don't change it that much, because my guess is that currently he's drawing every single hex individually in JavaScript, and I think that's gonna be quite slow. He's drawing that on the canvas, so it's quite slow. And surprise, surprise, Barry joins us. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
Hey, well, that's down nostalgia row. Windows 2, oh my.
Oh yeah. It is quite.
And it would
continue.
Yeah, and it would run on a 48. It actually would run on a 286.
Yes, it would. That's before.
In fact, you might have been able to get it to run on an 8088.
I don't remember ever having a computer that ran DOS that ran on 8088. To be honest,
I remember working with 8088, 4.77 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
Not gigahertz, megahertz.
Oh, understood. Barry, I worked back then. I was thrilled when I was able to upgrade my 386 machine at work. They moved me from a 16 megahertz to 20 megahertz. Like, wow, I got this so much faster. It's like, wow, it's awesome. And wow, I even had I had a whole gig of RAM too. Wow, it's awesome.
Wow, a gig?
Yeah, a gig.
You mean a meg?
Yeah, meg. Hold on. Oh yeah. Oh, geez. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gigabytes. What's gigabytes? Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, Yeah, I remember when they came out with the 386 chip, and they said it can directly address 32-bit address space. That's 4 gigabytes. And I was like, yeah, right. Nobody will ever have that much memory.
Oh, I know. I remember doing that. I still remember doing the DOS, and there's this product called I think it was DOS 2G, and actually it would create a protected mode program, so you could actually allocate more memory and get a lot more done, which was awesome.
Right.
Oh, I still remember.
Right. There were a couple of products that allowed you to actually multitask that were basically sat on top of DOS.
Mm-hmm. Remember a product called Desk View?
Desk View. Yeah.
Desk View. DESK View. Q. Sorry.
Yep.
DESQ.
Yeah, I remember it. I did some work in it too.
I always liked that. I thought that was so cool because you could actually do windowing and
right, and then you had the extended memory and expanded memory.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, the OWL, so OWL is actually doing functionality speaking. It works pretty well. It actually has a battle board. I told them there's some UX stuff that definitely needs to be worked on. From simple things like the chat room. It needs to be better, much better than what he's got. He's got a concept of what I call is a PM. You can send it within the chat, a generic chat. You can send it to individual people or send it to a group of people within the chat, which is kind of neat. But there's no concept of public chat because of the chat room, the chat, whatever thing, it's basically designed for players to talk to each other. And I told him, like, Al, there's one thing that definitely, this is a non-starter. We don't have it. And that is, we need to have it so that people can watch the games. We need to have an observer mode.
So what got you started down the Windows 2 nostalgia?
Oh, that was easy because of, you know how Google Maps, you can click and drag and it actually drags the map?
Yeah.
His drags, but it doesn't drag automatically. Yeah. You click and drag, it doesn't do anything until you let go of the mouse.
Are you talking about SFU Online does not have drag?
Well, yeah, that's different. His actually has drag per se, but it doesn't scroll. You click and drag, and then when you let go, then it redraws the map into the new location that you dragged it to.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how I went down. That's why I went down to the Windows 2X lane.
Yes.
Even Windows 2X was better, where you actually had the frame around the window.
Yeah. I missed 2 because I was using Amiga DOS back then.
Wow, I could not afford Amiga. I was working in I was working in a DOS program, and then finally we ported it over to being Windows, which was interesting by itself because of originally I thought that Windows was each program in Windows was a separate memory space. Then I come to find out, no, it's not. It's all shared memory space. It's like, oh, that's interesting. So some of that will be to get it so they could share memory. One thing we did, because I thought this, is that we originally created DLLs, dynamic load libraries, within Windows, so we could pass buffers back and forth between two different Windows. Windows programs that were running at the same time.
Yeah.
What was really interesting in my mind is when we converted from the DOS to the Windows, when it comes to, because one thing we would do is we would actually show statuses up on this little window. Well, obviously, because this is Windows and you have to kind of give up control, you have to let the message loop actually process messages. Otherwise, it looks like it's hung. So what we have to do is, in those DOS programs, we create DLLs from those DOS programs. We had to add into the loops, that was processing, is to go and process some of the Windows messages and then come back, so that actually it was interactive. Yes, Dave, this will be on the test.
Yeah, the Amiga was nice. It actually had a hardware graphics acceleration.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Amiga
was ahead of its time.
Oh, Amiga is way ahead of its time, because of basically, it still had the concept of, if I recall correctly, like multitasking at the hardware level.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
which was quite cool. And then of course, by the time I actually could afford an Amiga, they stopped selling them. Commodore went under and all that. It's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I know.
So I still have a fondness in my heart for Amigas.
It was a good computer, but it was ahead of its time, but then they didn't have the research funds to keep improving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget why they actually went under.
What is that? Why they went under? Or?
Okay. See you, Matt. Have fun. Matthew Potter was in the chat room. He does a lot of work for the third gen conversions, and also he plays, in, I think there is a campaign that Matt plays in on SFU Online. So
I heard that Gamers a Winner did not have good attendance this year.
That would not surprise me, because
I heard snow.
Yeah, well, it's not that we actually got snow. It was the threat of snow leading up to the weekend. There was this big call that there was basically, we were going to get a blizzard. Is what is kind of, and then not just a blizzard. We're supposed to get snow and then freezing rain and then snow again. That was the prediction. What actually happened, at least here where I live, we got maybe an inch of snow and then it turned into just rain. Now, of course, the difficult part was it stopped. Okay, it rained and it stopped raining, which is good, because then when it actually fast froze, because that's what happened on Sunday. It got down to like single digits on Sunday.
Oh, I remember that.
That's,
I know.
Well, that it was then, fortunately, it dried up enough so that you didn't have issues with people driving on the road.
Yeah.
which was
Well, I know. In it got out to single digits on Sunday, and I was out briefly. And then Monday it was still single digits
mm-hmm.
when I woke up.
Yeah, I woke up to 5 degrees.
I drove. What's that?
I woke up to 5 degrees around here.
Yeah, I was at 6, but yeah, same thing. And but then Monday morning I drove south for 4 hours. So I was watching that thermostat rise the whole ride. Sadly, right now I'm driving back north, so it's above freezing where I'm at, but I don't think it will stay that way.
Yeah, that was the fun part. Is that
today? But yeah, I'm in Tennessee right now, but I'm headed up to Cincinnati.
Okay, cool. Which is about be much colder, because actually it was 54 degrees here this morning, and then before supper it was down to 37 degrees.
Yeah,
but I was glad it's 54 degrees this morning because we lost power. So,
but in February 6th, the temperature rises significantly into the mid 80s.
Cool. Wow. Crazy weather.
That's because I'm traveling. But that's because I'm traveling 4 hours south by plane.
Yep, definitely makes a big difference. But getting back to the FNE board game, I think what Al's got is pretty good. You know, overall functionality speaking, I think he's got a lot of the back end work done. He needs some more, as I pointed out to him. But we need to bifurcate. We have to separate user from empire, because currently his current board assumes that each player takes one empire. And I already told him, it's like, okay, Al, that's one thing you're going to need to work on, because I'm willing to bet you there's more than one person that, as an FNE player, is going to play multiple empires. You know, like one person will play the alliance, the other player will play the coalition, and boom, they'll go at it. They'll want to play the general war, especially given if they have it available online, so they can, they can save it. Don't have to worry about leaving out a table, or do what some FNE players have done. And I know that this is true, which is they have a dedicated room for playing FNE, because they have cats and dogs and children.
So this is a new thing that somebody's actually developing a app or a program for FNE. Cool.
That's correct. Now, he was going to approach Steve Cole about it, and then he found out that basically I am the guy. There's no.
You had a license for FNE.
I have a license for FNE. I have a license for all ADB IP. I can use any of it as long as ADB gets their cut. That's all they care about. Now, with this guy, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for certain reasons, and that is, it's going to be cut. Basically, the plan is at the moment. Now, I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to develop this. I'm willing to bet it's going to be at least 6 months to get it to the point where I am happy. Minimum of 2. Depends upon how much work he's willing to put into this. And here is always my difficulty. I don't like bringing this up to people because I don't want people to get excited about it. It's like, oh, we're going to have it. Here's always the difficulty with people that I've always worked with when it comes to SFU Online. They help out, they work, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And because they lose
Guilty.
interest and then they go bye-bye. In the case of Scott Burleson, he did a lot of work for the F&E stuff. The problem is, of course, then his day job took over, and he can't explain to his wife why he's helping me out to do this because he might want to play a game online. You know, so
Yeah.
my guess is Scott Burleson probably stopped playing F&E on Federation Empire completely and just focused on his day job. You know,
Right.
and it's like so. And I'm one of the as it is right now. Al's in between jobs. You know, unfortunately.
And when he gets another job, all that time, yeah.
No, actually, here's the funny part,
I know.
Barry. Here's the funny part. He'll have more time after he has his new job. Because currently, since he is, you're home alone. That means you can do honey, you can do this, you can do this, do all these projects. So instead of doing what he wants to do, he has all these other projects he has to get done. So he told me in 2 weeks he has 10 hours to work on this.
Yeah, that's what wives do.
That is why it's good to have a small house and have a wife that has a daytime job.
I keep my wife in another state.
I know. But but Barry, if you didn't have your job, where would you be?
If what's that?
If you didn't have your job right now, you'd be at home with your wife.
Oh, and she would have jobs for me like you wouldn't believe.
Yep. Oh, I know. So
that's why I'm
so I'm not guaranteeing anything here at the moment. Right now, I just want to have the discussion about playing board games online. Oh, so no, sorry, nix that. Not online. Playing games overall in the browser. Basically, the browser as the UI. Funny thing, what was it? I just went to pogo.com today. I said, oh, what the heck? Let's try a game. Let's try a game. And they go, oh, you don't have the Flash plugin installed, or it's out of date. It's like, I don't have it installed. I don't use Flash for anything. And it's like, I want to say, Pogo, you got a problem, a big problem, because as of next year, Adobe will no longer be provide. I'm not sure if they're going to be de-supporting it. And the thing is, I am not sure if they're going to actually even have it available for you to download anymore. And having something that relies on the Adobe Flash plugin is not a viable thing going forward in the current market.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Java at the moment. If you try use a Java applet or a Java, what is it? Web Start application. The big issue there is that Oracle himself has decided to de-support basically any UI work. Okay, don't mind me. I gotta do one quick thing. Okay,
I got a side question for you.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine recently accepted a job with Red Hat Linux, and I'm wondering, how does Red Hat make their money?
Services. And Lord knows, of course, you do realize Red Hat got bought by IBM.
I did not know that.
Yep. And they provide cloud services. I want to make sure I get this right. I think Red Hat is the one behind OpenShift. The whole idea is based on open source cloud. Is the whole idea here.
Right.
And trust me, Red Hat is making quite a bit of money. They obviously they've heavily invested in Linux, but come on. Are you going as a business? Are you going to put software on your server and have no support contract for that operating system?
Yeah.
That is where they made a lot of the money starting out with, and then of course they started moving to cloud products, and supporting those.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what IBM bought. Of course, IBM also bought my previous hosting provider. I want to say Rackspace. Yeah, Rackspace. Yeah, IBM bought Rackspace. So at the moment, I actually have an IBM account. Even I really got to see if there's some way of closing that sucker. Because I've had actually a Rackspace account, even though I no longer have any services with them. I still have an account with them. I'd like that to close the whole thing. Stop! Don't bother me anymore. I don't have services. I don't plan to have services with you in the future. So just get rid of my account. So I'll probably have to give somebody a call. That's what I have to do. Because that's one thing I like to do is just kill all online accounts that I don't use. So that's one thing I haven't done for a while, which is I haven't actually gone through my old accounts and tried to delete the ones that I can delete. Whether it's like old Yahoo email accounts. I actually deleted my MySpace account way back when. Things like that, where you have an account on somebody and you ask them to delete it. Because sometimes, a lot of times, you have to actually contact support to say, "Can you delete my account?" And usually they say, "Okay, no problem."
Right.
But that's usually the only way to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you think so far of your online game with Through the Ages?
I suck. I should never gotten that colony, because as soon as I got that colony, the next player basically beat the snot out of me, grabbed the colony from me, because I
saw that.
a good bit of my armies and defenses to get that one colony. And so right now I've got one soldier.
I know. Yeah.
I
saw that. And one thing the game will allow you to do, unfortunately, is you overpaid for it. You bid 6, but I think you used like 8 or 10. Buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you didn't have any defense cards, and the next guy just, I was like, and that's why I was the strongest militarily, and I passed on that colony, because buying or bidding on a colony, you guarantees it's going to make you weaker.
Oh, understood.
Yeah, well, that's live and learn. That's okay.
Yep. And the problem, here's what the big issue right now is: I keep on getting beat up.
That is sad. It's because
I got no military strength, so he just keeps on beating on me and grabbing my culture.
Yeah.
Grabs my culture, grabs my people, he's just sucking me dry. to the degree that it's getting to the
Oh
point
yeah.
where I'm most probably just gonna I'll play it out, but that's about it. I'm not having fun playing. I'm just doing whatever.
Well, yeah. Or you can resign. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's the problem. Is that once you get behind that far on strength, it's like, oh, everybody sees you as a resource
Mm-hmm.
because you have no way of building yourself back up. There's no way of defending yourself. And the further behind you get, the weaker you get, the easier it is to beat up on
18
you.
naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. 15.
What?
Don't mind me.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I needed. This is one of those things that the current platform doesn't do a really good job at.
Why don't you play a whole bunch of single player games and then you'll learn the ropes and then you can come back and play multiplayer.
Yeah, I got to see if I have some time to do that. Because also I'm still not quite. I'm used to playing the board game,
right?
So so when I can look out and actually get a good view of where I am in the game. On the iPad, it's a lot harder to see that. Yeah, they have these nice, pretty things, but they make it harder to envision what you actually have.
Well, once you learn the user interface on that, it is actually very well done. And there's a lot of,
Barry,
you play around with it.
I know it's very well done. It looks beautiful. It works great.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with the user interface. It's just that it makes it more difficult to play because you always have to switching your views. You have to look at your view, then you can't just look at your view and then look at someone else's and compare yours visually. You actually have to go back and forth between the two. I almost wanted to take a snapshot, print it out, so I have it on my printer so I can actually visually compare the two.
Well, there's some of the stuff you can actually see at a glance that if you push one button, it'll unroll a lot of the stats for all 4 players.
Okay, I'll have to find that, where the heck that is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of information it gives to you that's like, wow. But you're right. There's a lot of information, and even when you're out looking at someone's board, you still have to dig into it to see what they've got.
Right, exactly.
Now, I'm playing it on iPad,
which makes things even more difficult for you, I would think.
It's not bad, but I've played enough that I know what's going on too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not installed it on my phone because, no, I don't want it on my phone. I originally had Facebook on my phone. I deleted it from my phone. Deleted Facebook. I deleted Facebook Messenger. Actually, the reason why I did that is I got frustrated. I got this one guy with Starfleet Warlord, and I'm trying to go to bed. I'm trying to go to sleep, and he's messaging me in the middle of the freaking night. So I went, fine, I'm deleting it. So I deleted Messenger, I deleted Facebook. I said, forget it, I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. I'll get to it when I get to it.
You can turn off notifications.
Oh, I can. I know I can turn off notifications. It's just that I was frustrated at that moment in time because I'm used to not having to do that. Yeah. I'm not used to put on do not disturb mode at night to say, okay, don't text me. Because normally, only people who text me that late at night are people who need to get to me.
Right, right. Yeah, I had one about a week or two ago where I always put my phone on do not disturb mode, and I set it to the wake up timer. Bedtime I think is the app.
Mhm.
So when it's in bedtime mode, it puts it in do not disturb, and so I think at one point my boss tried to call me about midnight. Of course, he didn't get through. He left a message. He left a text. All he had to do was call twice in a 3-minute period to break through the do not disturb, but they didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh.
And
That's fun about that. I've noticed that there's a spam caller. I know it's spam because it has the same area code, same prefix as me. No one has the same area code and prefix. And they're double dialing. They're calling, they're hanging up. They're calling again, like 10 seconds later, to bypass the do not disturb.
ooh. Oh, that's just rude.
Oh, I know. I still don't answer.
Oh, yeah. And of course, if you block it, then it comes up as a slightly different number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Is
currently
there
I
any
have
way to tell do not disturb that, hey, I only want you to allow people on my contacts list to break through?
yeah. Yeah. Though again, I think the way to break through also is the double dial, the double call. That's so people who are not on your list can come through, can get through.
Yeah, but what they should have is that says, okay, I don't care if you double dial. You're only getting through if you double dial and you're on my contact list.
Yeah, well, if you're in your I currently, I think I have the do not disturb set to my I consider my VIPs, or actually my favorite lists, which is basically
Okay.
all my family. Is on my favorites list.
Yeah.
In that case, that actually goes and it lets people through, which is understandable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yep. So hopefully Al can can get things going and we can get working, because there's only so much I can promise him,
Mm-hmm.
because of well I promise the way I worked out the deal with him. I said, okay, the only way I think we can get this thing to work, and I made sure that he was agreeable to it, which is basically I'll be running his software. I will be licensing his software, and he gets a cut of F&A online subscriptions. And that's how he gets his money. ADB gets their money. ADB's happy because
Right.
it's licensed through me. The user accounts are, I do all the user account stuff. I'm the one who does the subscriptions. I'm the one who does the user accounts. I'm the one who manages all of that. He doesn't have to worry about payment or anything like that. That back end stuff, any of that integration stuff. He doesn't have to worry about that. I worry about that. I'm the person who takes care of it. The only thing he has to make sure.
Sounds like a win-win.
Yep. All he has to do is make sure that he can basically authenticate his service to me. That's the one thing as I told him, we're going to have to work on. But that's right now. I'm not worried about that.
Right.
I'm more worried about him getting the functionality so we have a viable product, and then of course, not just a minimum viable product, but also a product that people are going to want to use.
Yeah.
And there are definitely some work. Obviously, he's got some things in there which need to be removed. And they're understandable why they're there. Like he's got the URL for the web service that he uses, for the back end work, on in the actual game room. That's debug. That's purely debug. You don't need it when you actually a person's playing. There is a refresh button, and even that, it's like, okay, I think we can keep the refresh button for a fail safe, so people don't click refresh in their browser, because most probably when they click refresh in the browser, they'll log them out, and they're gonna have to log in again into the game, which might not be a bad thing, but and
so he's actually running it through a web. He's actually writing a website that does this, or what's he writing it in? JavaScript or something? Or
that's one thing I did not ask him about. It's definitely it's the whole concept of browser as the UI. And then he has the back end, doing the database stuff, doing that kind of stuff, but all of the functionality, all the rules, all that stuff, it's an interactive web page is what it is. And that's that's the way you want it. Now, there's a couple of things I already talked to him about. It's like, okay, dude, you need to have it so you actually can use it on an iPad or a tablet. Basically, touch.
Yeah.
You have to have it actually responds to touch events. You cannot assume that people are going to be using this with a mouse.
Right.
And I was telling about some of the things that I can see happening with this, because I definitely can envision this to being something along the lines of SFU Online, where not everything's in a single window, i.e., you can actually have a separate window where you have like fleet information or things like that, where you can pop up like that. That actually is a separate window, not a div within the actual window itself, but an actual separate window. Because Lord knows, sometimes those divs drive me freaking nuts because they're simulating a window. But doing
Starfleet Battle doesn't run on a phone or a tablet, does it?
No.
I didn't think so.
Not at the moment.
Oh. Interesting.
Barry, that was one of my goals that I had for this past year. Was to get it so you could actually watch a game using the browser. I've got a lot of the back end code. I still got to debug it.
Interesting.
That's the thing that I've not really haven't done, which is I did some work on debugging it, but still not quite working the way it's supposed to be working. Because basically, I'm exposing the IRC server, but as a JSON based web service. That's basically what it is. So you can send the IRC commands, and it'll bring the stuff back, and there's all kinds of stuff that I wanted to do with it, especially the case of what I wanted to do is switch the the Java client to use those services. The whole idea being you can use like IRC, or even use everything, have it completely uses those web services. So then we don't have problems with disconnects. Because currently it's IRC based. IRC based is connection based. That means if you ever drop the connection, you have a bad connection between you and and the SFU Online server, you get dropped.
Yeah.
All it takes is dropping like 10 packets, and boom, it's gone.
Right.
Well, that's what. I don't think it's nearly as much of an issue as it was in the past. Because in the past, people would have problems with being dropped because of their internet service was flaky. Oh, it works fine in my browser. Yeah, it works fine in your browser. Because your browser is taking this little resource, this little resource, this little resource, and if it doesn't quite draw fine in your browser window, what do? You hit a refresh button to reload. You can't do the same thing with SFU Online.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was thinking about doing. Now, I first wanted to get it so that it has so you can actually watch SFU Online in a browser window, because of the guy on YouTube. He really he wants more streaming of basically SFU Online games. And the big problem with that, obviously, is that you have to have someone who's willing to do the streaming. And he wants me to do the streaming. Well, okay. The issue there is I have to know when the people are going to be playing their games, and I have to be available to do that.
Right. Well, the other question would be, if you could come up with some way of recording the game so that every time an event occurred, which an event being a new impulse, it generates a frame. So you could have a YouTube video where it goes click, 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 like a metronome, where it goes steps through all the impulses.
Yeah, but at the same time, Barry, let's say, actually, I worked on some of that. Actually, there's parts of that already in the client, just not connected up. At least I had the idea of it, which is the whole idea of an automated game log, where you could actually it would automatically take a screen, basically save what's on the board and save it to a file. And then afterwards, you actually, if you wanted to, you actually could annotate the whole thing to say what some of your thoughts on this impulse, this impulse, this impulse. Now, again, that's only going to show you the ships. It's not going to show you, what happens to what was the kind of damage that occurred. What's the SSDs for those ships?
Right.
So taking a screenshot doesn't show you anything in that case, because most of the time people they bring up the SSD to do something SSD, but then at least for me, a lot of times I have them on a tab. They don't have them, and then of course then you have the issue of multi-monitor setups, where you have the board on one window, you have your SSDs on another window.
For those of us who have that setup,
right. Lord knows, I know when Paul Scott was playing, was an avid player on SFU Online. That's one thing he did. I still remember when we did the whole Platinum Hat tournament, where you could actually we got it so that people could play at Origins, but also interact with people online. Now, I remember him complaining about it too, because if I can stay at home and play on my computer, with my setup, because you could play on. There were some games that basically we were asking people to play online using the laptops that I brought. So it's inferior setup to what they have at home, but they could play. And Paul Scott was complaining about that because, basically the people at home have an advantage because they have the full rig, and we have this jury rigged setup that we have to play with. You know, it's understandable. But at the same time, we want the whole idea was to try to get it so that we can involve people that couldn't make it to Origins. And of course, then that transformed into just having the Platinum Hat, which was online only.
Right.
And the question is whether we'll ever have another one of those again. Because the last one, the 2017 tournament, lasted until 2018. So, what's that, Barry?
I may be able to make it to the next Council of Five.
Oh, cool! In October.
Yeah. My new job, they I don't know if it was a typo or not, but in the offer letter, they gave me 16 days of vacation.
Cool. 3 weeks. Plus one.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, in my mind, when it comes to those kind of things, when it comes to vacation, does that include sick days? Days with basically you have to take off because you're so sick that you can't work. And then, and then if you have separate sick days, then there's the whole game of I'm quote unquote sick, but it's more of a mental sickness than actual physical sickness.
So far, I haven't taken a sick day yet since I started this job in August, and now I've been suffering from the last 2 weeks from gout. Holy crap. That is painful. But I've made it to work every day. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. And when that was my own fault because I had been having steak every day for breakfast the last 3-4 months. Every single day I had steak for breakfast. And then one night I had shrimp and lobster for dinner. And the next morning it was like, oh my. And that's when I woke up with that and I got the service call and it was like, okay. So I had to drive 200 miles in the snow. And I was at the customer site and my foot had swelled up to almost twice its normal size. And I had to climb up and down a lot of ladders.
Yikes.
It was not a fun day.
No, that's never is.
Yeah. But I did not take a sick day.
Understood. So yeah. So I like to have it because the thing is the great thing for at least SFU Online, even if I stick with most of the just have limited functionality in the web browser, so you can actually just might be able to chat and you can watch the games. You might not be able to play the game. I think that would be a great benefit to people.
Oh yeah.
So instead of having to worry about streaming the games, just okay. Well, you want to watch a game? Fine. You'll log in. You go to this website, and it will allow you to watch whatever game is currently being played. Start obviously small. Have it so you can do maybe a chat. Actually, the first thing would be is just have the board up and have it so that you can see the counters on the board. That's step number one. Step number two is add chat ability. After you add chat ability, then the next one for that is having the availability. People can see the third gen SSDs, and that one is that one's debatable on that. Because of I know Steve Cole's really is concerned enough as it is with the because Nickerson and not when we were using this the what was the SSDs that are basically look very closely like the ones that are available in the SSD modules, the module R's.
You mean the second gen?
Yeah, second gen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So third gen,
Yeah.
we can I think we can probably get away with showing it. Now, obviously, I know there's some people that don't like it at all because they're expecting to look like the classic second gen.
Right. That would be me.
And there's some people who actually quit SFB Online over that. If I can't get the second gens I want now, here's always my question about those people is that do you like is that big of an issue, or is it that you want to have the latest and greatest product for free?
Well,
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about some of the other people.
Yeah. Now, question: are the tournament cruisers still second gen, or are they?
Yeah.
All third gen.
Yeah, this the second gen. Those are ones that are freely available, that are downloadable from ADB's website.
Correct. So they're free downloads anyway.
So yeah, so there's no reason to convert those when it comes to copyright materials. Now, here is the possibility, though. If enough people start liking the third gens, that we actually get requested to convert the tournament ships to third gens, then we might have something to talk about.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. How many people have you taken a poll?
No, that's the one thing I have not done yet.
Do more people? Yeah. Which do people prefer more, second or third? And a poll like that is dangerous, because what happens if you take a poll and 95% of the people out there say, we hate these third gens, we really like the second generation? Yeah. Then you're screwed, because it's like, well, sorry, but you're getting third.
Why am I screwed?
Well,
I'll take it into consideration. There's nothing I can do about it. You can tell me that you want the second gen, but I can't do it. And here's the one thing, Barry. Here's the one thing.
Yeah.
If I do a survey like that, I'm not going to tell people what the result is. It's none of their business what the result is.
That is true. That's true. But because unless the results are what you, unless the results are 95% say they love the third gen, then you'll announce it.
Yeah. Possible. Yeah, I'm not. I don't even. I might, no, Barry. I might not even announce it. Obviously, one thing that would have to be part of that discussion, part of that survey, is if you like the third gen, would you like to see the tournament cruisers converted to the third gen SSDs? Some people would say, yeah, I'd like to see it, or no, I like to see it. I want it in the classical SSDs, so that I'm not confused when I play it in real life.
Yeah.
Because come on,
I like the second gen.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. Let's be bloody honest. How many people play fleet battles for SFB anymore?
Not many.
Not many.
I don't know.
And even the ones who do, how many do it using the board and not online?
Yeah. Would you say 90% of the people playing games are playing tournament games at this point?
Actually, that's one thing I've not been keeping an eye on, which I really should start logging the game. rooms that are created, and maybe add some analytics into the client itself to what people
Yeah.
what games are actually people are playing. Because I know there are definitely at the moment there's more non-tournament games played than tournaments.
Oh, okay.
The here's our biggest issue with SFB Online. People are not playing the tournaments that they're in. We're in round 2 of the Masters tournament, which started like I forget whether it's 6 to 8 months ago. We've got one game of round 3 played for Rat 48, which let me just do one quick check here. If I recall correctly, that's Q2. So that means it started like in July.
Wow.
Yes. Now I'm definitely have there's some people that I've seen sign up, which I'm happy to see. Actually, I just got contacted by Carl Magnus, who's located in Norway. It's like, cool. Yeah. Rat 48, it's Q2. Ed Meister, I think it was his name. Let's see if I can bring that up, because I think he just re-signed up. Yeah. Ed Meister. He signed back up. He hasn't played for a long time. You know.
Right.
Whoops. Let me do something. I've missed something. Okay. I was looking at my SFB Online subscription that I noticed one's like, wait a minute, I don't recognize that one. And I was right. It wasn't an SFB Online. It was actually Starfleet Warlord payment. Different. But that's another game that I want to encourage. I want to get going to being able to play online. Because and actually I've been doing some work on the back end to work on automating Starfleet Warlord. To at the very least, have it so people can play the learner's game. I can set them up and have it so completely automated. They submit their turns and they get a result back, and things like that. Possibly at some point, maybe even have it to just that they submit the turn and it comes back immediately and it comes back in their browser, and not have to send it via email, which would be quite cool. I think that'd be great for learning. Now, obviously, you could not expect the same results when you're playing a multiplayer game. But those
Right.
I would love to see, because if I could automate that whole process, everyone will be having available online. People can enter their orders online. They don't have to worry about installing the aid or worrying about messing with the files that I send people and things like that. So that simplifies that whole process. After I do that, then people, it can definitely, in my mind, it can, and if you automate the whole process of skipping people, because currently I'm kind of lax when it comes to skipping people. I give them a one warning. I give them 24 hours. Say, okay, in 24 hours, I will be skipping you. Now, if a person emails me and say, something happened, my wife was in the hospital, so and I'll be lax and say, okay, fine. Not taking consideration that you should not be waiting until Sunday to submit your orders that are due Sunday night.
Right.
But at the same time, here's always the difficult part about Starfleet Warlord, and when it comes to a multiplayer game. One of the things you're doing in Starfleet Warlord, this is not just like Fortnite. Well, actually, it is kind of like Fortnite to a certain degree. In that, it's kind of like Fortnite in the degree that it's a team sport. But in the case of Starfleet Warlord, it's more of you make deals, and you're making the deals in between turns usually. So the question is, how long does it take you to discuss that deal?
Right.
So they might be discussing up to Friday night, and that means that they might change their orders based on how that deal goes. Whether they say, "Oh yeah, well I'll let you. Here's information about this sector, and I'll give it to you. You can have it. I won't fight you for it. You can take it. But see the sector over here? I want that sector. All I'm asking you to do is not fight me for that sector." Things like, negotiations like that. Or, okay, you and I, we're going to gang up on this corporation. That kind of thing. So,
yeah.
That's why I understand why in some cases, you want to delay it some. But there's some people that, I'm sorry, they're consistently late. They're consistently submitting their orders on Monday, after I give them a warning on Sunday about it. I almost think I should start having the orders, everything's due on Saturday. So that by the time people actually get everything in on Sunday, we'll be good. But again, if I automate this whole process where my hands are now, I'm hands off. It's completely hands off. That means it will skip you. I have no control over it. It will be skipping you automatically. I have no way of stopping it. And since this is completely automated, I'm not entering any orders. You're entering them all yourself. If there's a mess up in your orders, it's your fault. That's another reason why I like having people send me the aid files, send me the automated orders, electronic orders, because those, they can't come back and say you messed it up.
Yeah.
For example, this last turn, I screwed up an order because person's 8 looked like a 6. That's because they didn't close the loop on the top part of it. But if I actually looked at an actual 6, I could see that, oh yeah, that 6 looks nothing like their 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say, okay, well, yeah, you got a point there. You got a point there that, that actually, that is an 8 and not a 6. So I fixed that for them.
Yeah.
But in the case of electronic turns, there's nothing for me to do. You mess up, your fault.
Right.
Okay. So, I think playing games online, whether Starfleet Warlord, SFB Online, or FNE, I think it's very viable. There's some other games I don't think are nearly, well, actually, I think most games are viable to play in the browser. The big question always is, and this is the one thing, for Starfleet Warlord, I think browser would be fantastic for it, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
For
I got a question. I bought the first edition of FNE when it first came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
After Federation Space,
Never,
huh?
Yeah, Federation in Space. Yeah. And I never actually got to play anybody else at it. I just opened it up, read the rules. So I had heard later that it was an atrocity, but I never encountered that because I actually never got to play the game. And then I never continued after that. But I know that at a lot of the tournaments or a lot of the conventions, you got your F&E people, and they're a separate group.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, they're a separate group. Why? because playing F&E is a multi-day event.
Yeah.
And what happened at Origins is that they actually would gather together. They would organize things. And Chuck was really good at organizing things. Chuck Strong was really good at getting things organized. Have it so that you could actually have you have people. Okay, they bring the snacks. They'd hide that behind behind the table, because in theory you weren't supposed to bring in your own food into the convention, but we brought it in. They brought it in anyway because basically they were spending all day in that one room. They get in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they'd end up there somewhere around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And they're just playing this one game. And they did this for 3 days straight.
Wow. That's longer than Twilight Imperium.
Hmm? And this is why, and people loved it, because that's the great things about conventions. With conventions compared to online, the great thing about conventions is you're focused on what you are doing. That was the great thing about playing tournaments at Origins, is that you could be spending 3 days playing just SFB.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to worry about distractions. Oh, honey, do this. Honey, do that. No. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm away from the wife, away from the kids. And of course.
Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've been playing Starfleet Battles online, and my wife would walk up, well, since you're not doing anything important, I need you to do this and this and this and this. I tell people, oops, I got a honeydew project. I'll be back.
No. Yeah.
2 hours later.
Yeah.
3 hours later. 4 hours later.
Right.
Okay, I'm back.
Well, with my wife, she knows if I'm playing online, I'm unavailable. I'm playing.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no honeydew.
You have a rare wife.
I'm sorry. In that case, what I would do, if I had to, I'd go to Starbucks and spend the night at Starbucks. if my wife was said, oh, you're not doing anything important. No, it's like being on the phone with somebody and talking to him. It's like, oh, you're not doing anything important. I'm sorry, that's being rude. Because you're even if you're not playing with someone, you're chatting with someone. You know. What gives? Do I interrupt you when you're talking to your friends? That's what I'm doing here. I'm chatting with my friends.
Yep, I know.
So anyway, well, I better shut things down because it's almost 11 o'clock now. I gotta get up in like 6 hours.
Yeah,
and I still have to put this thing together.
All right. Well, have a good night then.
Okay, you too, Barry.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so we had some discussion minced in with talking with Barry for a while. So hope you enjoyed the little chat with Barry. We talked about not just playing games online, but also playing games on the iPad, and also the good old days of DOS. And Lord knows that's what happens when Barry comes into the discussion. So with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.
Recording paused.
Ay. Done. Done. Just give me this. Copy. Exacto. Clear splits. Kill that. What the freaking hell? I freaking lost it all. Dang gone. Freaking hell. Music. Hate recents. I hate it. Like